Oh. What's that show with Drew Carey? Welcome to the show. Everything's a joke and the points don't matter. That's right. Everything's like.
Whose line is it anyway?
Yeah.
Brilliant. Man, I always want to rewatch those, but ain't nobody got time for that. But I would love to nostalgically watch them.
They're so funny.
Yeah.
Especially the OG ones.
Oh yeah.
Back when they made a lot of politically incorrect. We know that can be down, that can be down, that can be down, and that is the.
That's a secret
mystery sound.
Mystery.
Good morning, evening, and afternoon, everybody. You are listening to episode 23 of the Strength and Motion Show, a podcast all about holistic and functional health approach to health and fitness. A holistic and functional health approach to fitness. If you're a fuck me.
I think it was a holistic and functional.
I know.
approach.
I was like, fuck.
You had to go back. Yeah.
My rule of three. I made 3 mistakes. Good morning, evening, and afternoon, everybody. You are listening to episode 23 of the Strength and Motion Show, a podcast all about a holistic and functional approach to health and fitness. If you are a long-term podcast listener, you have obviously listened to our first 5 episodes in which we talk you through the 4 pillars of hashtag the holistic way, which is now also hashtag the functional way. If you're new here, these first 5 episodes, we will walk you through our 4 pillars, our foundational pillars that we teach: movement, nutrition, sleep, and stress. And over the next few episodes, we'll be picking up where we left off from those 5 episodes. We're going into these topics a little bit deeper. We recently just did stress, and today we're going to be covering sleep. So these pillars are allowing you to really understand these 4 focal areas. And as you focus more time and energy on them, we want you to upskill yourself and really succeed at your health and fitness. As always, let's welcome our co-host, Navar, with our fingers crossed mystery sound. Top left.
Yeah, let's do it. It's going to be the same, hey? Oh. This is a 30-second. This is dial up.
All right, we're just going to put that in the back, just in case something comes up in the background. How you going?
I missed the dial up. This brings back memories.
Yeah, it does actually bring back memories.
Yeah.
Yes. How are you, Nav?
Great. I'm doing fantastic. I am a fiance.
You are.
I'm a fiance.
You're engaged.
Yeah, unreal.
Engaged.
I feel like I've been engaged for a long time, which is why I did the proposal. It felt like...
What do you mean?
I felt like I was already well engaged in the relationship.
Yes.
So it wasn't that I needed to be engaged to be engaged.
I see.
Which is why I did it.
Yep.
Because I felt like it was needed in a sense.
Yeah.
It was already happening. It was already
just
there.
to seal the deal.
Yeah.
Just the finishing touches.
Yeah.
And
it was lovely. I feel like the last couple of weeks, we did a whole weekend away for the engagement weekend.
Yep, you rode a horse.
We rode a horse, yes, and then we spent time in Margaret River. And that was lovely, but it wasn't enough. And so we kind of spent the last couple of weeks spending a little bit more time together and nice. Spending time at home more relaxed, just connecting. And it's been lovely. It's been really nice.
Yeah, that's good.
How about yourself?
I'm buying a vacuum.
Yeah. I am engaged to a vacuum.
That's my world. I'm actually I'm highly engaged into vacuuming. But yeah, look, on the surface, I've bought a bunch of tools, which is really exciting. But it does mean a lot more because I am a tradesman by trade. I'm a diesel mechanic, but I love being on the tools. And as far as relationships go, I am single, but relationships are quite important to me. So I recently came in uncle. I have a sub 1 month year old niece.
So I am an uncle.
I am an uncle. Yeah. So, but look, it's nice to be to be here and be around for that. And obviously my parents are quite important to me as well, and I'm working on their house. I'm working on the house. I've started renovating that, and I'm going to be helping my brother renovate his house, and that's just it fulfills my practical need. But I'm doing that. I'm ticking that practical need to be getting hands-on with stuff. But if I don't have a partner and all of that, which one day that'll come, and that's all in due course, but I still get to focus on relationships with my family. So it's super wholesome times. And the tools are really just my way of being able to express that energy, because then I get to express that energy on the house. I get to express it at my brother's place. And as those who know me well, the energy's there. And it's got to be used. So I love being hands-on. So that's sick. After this podcast, I'm driving directly to buy a vacuum, a Milwaukee vacuum off this random lady off Marketplace. So I'm pumped. I'm going to vacuum my car as soon as I've even got some charged batteries in the car as well. Nice. I'm ready to go. So to commence this podcast episode, let's start with a little recap of our previous episode of episode 4. Sleep. Episode 4, sleep. We covered things about quality versus quantity. A lot of people might say they get their 7 hours, or they might get their 6 to 8 hours, but it might not be a good quality. So sometimes a quality sleep is better than a quantity sleep. We were really emphasizing quality. It's really important to get your quality in, and a lot of the podcast was talking about ways to achieve that quality. We then also talked about light versus deep sleep. Light sleep is obviously when you are in a light sleep. It's easy for you to wake up, but obviously when you are in a light sleep, you're not very restorative. Your body's not recovering. It's only recovering during your deep sleep. And when you have quality sleep, you get deep sleep. What else did we talk about, Nav?
Caffeine management, as Josh goes and grabs for his caffeine. Yes. Ideally saying clean in the PM.
Yep.
Because of the lifespan of caffeine, it stays within the body for quite some time. And so if you're having caffeine in the PM, it's most likely going to disrupt your sleep. And then focusing on 1, maybe 2 per day, ideally before midday. What's the light management?
So light management.
Oh, managing light.
Yes,
light exposure.
Yes, not light management, managing light.
Yeah.
It's really managing
heavy
yourself.
Management.
Yes, it's managing yourself around light. I realised what you were.
I was extremely confused.
Just on light duties.
Light exposure.
Exactly right.
So utilizing real natural light as often as possible, especially maximizing it in the AM, and then minimalizing it in the PM. Ideally minimalizing your artificial light as much as possible. However,
including technology. Especially.
Backlighting of the screen is probably the worst. However, we can't completely eradicate that and remove that, and that's okay.
Don't have to go caveman, otherwise you can't listen to the podcast.
Yeah, exactly. We want you to listen.
So making sure that you have things like the blue light filter on your phone screens as well, and just try not to do things like stare at your phone right before you go to sleep and take your phone into bed. Having really a lot of it is about having a healthy relationship with your phone. It is the modern world, and that's something that is attached to us, and also just building routines and habits, and they kind of come hand in hand. So we really touched on all of those things. This podcast, we are going to go pretty much back over a lot of these things, but we're going to go them into deeper detail. So just to pre-frame, if you are listening to us and at any point you get confused, that is a good sign that you should go back and listen to episode 4, because it gives you a lot of the foundational knowledge. In the next 10 or so minutes, we're actually going to go back through just a couple of things just to bring you up to date as your little refresher. So we have 4, technically 5 stages of sleep. The first stage of sleep is when we are drowsy, which is why it's sometimes not even considered a sleep cycle. Sleep stage, for many people, it is considered. So we have our drowsiness when we're pretty much almost asleep. From there, you have stage 2, which is your light sleep, stage 3, moderate, stage 4, deep, stage 5, REM. To really break those down, if you are drowsy, you're still awake, you're still functional, but you're starting to lose a small amount of coherency. When you are in a light sleep, that's really when you're starting to nod off. That's really when you're sinking deeper into a sleep. And if you're familiar with brainwaves, the frequency of your brain will start to slow down as well. So this is when you are really calming down, the brain is calming down, and this is where a lot of people will sleep. From there is just another layer of that, just a deeper, moderate sleep where you are starting to begin small senses of your recovery processes. The brain is starting to deal with information. The body's starting to get really deeper into that sleep. And then you start to have your stage 4 and your stage 5 sleeps, and they're really, really deeper stages of sleep. And that's, if you look at the brain waves, one of them, you've got your REM sleep, which is your rapid eye movement, where you have really, really fast waves. And then you have your deep sleep, which have really long, slow waves. We don't have to go into the specifics of it. I have a whole notes page on what they are, but all you have to understand is that these deep stages are what's super important. Getting into these stages are things that when you have an adequate sleep, where you are getting into those stages, that's when you wake up feeling restored. Nav, do you have any experiences to share about when sleep's good and when sleep's bad?
No, this is perfect. I would less like to say the importance of trying to hit all of these stages.
Yes.
And this is why it's important to have a decent block of sleep where you're going through this cycle multiple times. And so, which we will dive into later, the amount of hours of sleep that we're meant to get. And the reason why it is those amount of hours is because it allows us to fit in a certain amount of these stages of sleep where we go from drowsy through moderate, deep, and then into REM, where we then go back into drowsy and repeat that process all over again. Well, mostly anyway.
Absolutely. So, for example, as a listener, you would have experienced a time where you've been sleeping and just you were somewhat napping, really, and just the tiniest noise, you still heard the noise and it woke you up. That's an example of being in a light sleep. But it's also the same way as when you wake up in the morning and you do feel fresh. It's because as your body throughout your sleep, the whole entire night, you've gone in and out. You've gone from a light sleep to a deep sleep, back into a light sleep. The most ideal time to wake up is in that light sleep when your body is already somewhat awake, because then it's not a massive shock to the body when you come out of a deep sleep, where if you have woken up and not known what day it is, or you don't know where you are, it's like, oh, what's going on? You might be in the middle of a dream. That's when you're in the middle of a deep sleep, and that's a massive jump from the deep sleep into the awake, when you're fully awake. I was going to say the awake sleep, which is not really a thing. That's just the awake.
Kind of.
So a standard sleep cycle is approximately 90 to 120 minutes. Generally, most humans function best when they go through 4 to 5 sleep cycles. So 5 cycles at 90 minutes is about 7.5 hours sleep. 4 cycles at 120 minutes is about 8 hours sleep. So if you are watching the video and you can see me reading off my screen, the notes that I'm actually reading is what Nav and I, we've written these notes together and we've given them to our coaches. So this is what we coach our coaches on, and we coach our coaches to coach their clients to try and hit their 7.5 to 8 hours of sleep. And we also keep in mind that most people on average take 15 to 30 minutes to fall asleep as well, and so you want to allow a bit of buffer time. So if you're really wanting to smash your sleep goals and you think that your sleep cycles are going to be 7.5 hours, you also want to be in bed for like eight and a bit hours to just cater for that that buffer time. How does your sleep go, Nav? How quickly do you reckon you knock off from getting into sleep?
Extremely quickly. Yeah, probably within 10 minutes, I would say. But I go to sleep at the exact same time, wake up at the exact same time every morning. So I think having that circadian rhythm, that consistency of sleep, my body and my mind knows that it's meant to go to sleep. And it also feels rested and recovered, or in sync with that cycle, because I've woken up early that morning in alignment with that time I'm going to bed. That's how I feel about it anyway. So if I'm awake for 17 hours, let's say, and I'm sleeping 7 hours, then if I'm awake for a whole 17-hour block, by that 7-hour mark, I'm way more primed to go to sleep, I feel.
Yeah.
And definitely. I conditioned myself to do that over time, just because I want to be efficient with my sleep. I tried cheating my sleep for so long.
Yeah.
I tried cheating it. I tried doing everything I can.
You did that nap thing, right?
Yeah. I even did like poly cycles of sleep, where I would sleep 20, I think it was like 20 minutes every few hours, and it would collectively make up something like 6 hours or 5 hours of sleep or something like that. And so I was trying to get more hours out of my day, but I just wasn't efficient. I wasn't effective. I wasn't energized or as awake as I And now that I have a consistent sleep cycle, getting 7 to 8 hours of sleep every single night, I feel far more productive throughout my day.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and productivity is a big thing.
Yeah,
because a lot of people will happily skip sleep. They'll skip certain amounts of sleep so that they can get more done.
Yeah.
But then what they actually find is that the quality
they get more of nothing done.
You got more of nothing done.
Yeah.
And I experience it as well.
Yeah.
I'm going to read some notes. Oopsies. I'm going to read some notes here of exactly what we tell our clients, what we tell our coaches. When coaching a client, it's best to have them aim for a minimum of 7 hours sleep, preferably 8. If a client believes they are unable to hit 8 hours of sleep, have them commit to 7 and then work your way up from there once they have proven their ability to stick to 7. So this is part of the thing, is that we all know what we should be doing, but there is actually that aspect of where people are ready to, and people are ready to commit to certain things as well. So there is a psychological aspect that if you are looking to make changes within your sleep, make sure that you give yourself like an achievable target and then build yourself from there. Otherwise, you just will find you revert back to your old existing habits or your old existing lifestyles, because it's too much of a shift. It's usually too much of a shift. Circadian rhythm explained. So we also talked about this in our last podcast. The circadian rhythm is essentially your body clock. So we have a clock and Earth has a clock. So the Earth rotates around the sun, which means we have our day and we have our night. And so the body also has a chapter in which it's trying to be asleep for the nighttime phase, and then it's also trying to be awake during the daytime phase. And your body clock is best aligned with the sun, which is why you might find that if you, let's say you have a job where you're having to wake up at 5 a.m. every single morning, and then you get to a new job where you don't have to wake up till 7, but your body's so used to waking up at 5 a.m. over and over and over again that when you get to try and sleep in, you physically can't, because your body was already used to waking up and it wakes itself up. So that's an example of your body clock, and everybody has a slightly different body clock. We have 3, I believe, on average, which is just your early risers, your night owls, and then just that window of people that fit in between. And your goal is to have your body clock align, ideally, obviously your work schedule can impact this, but aligned with the sun. So Nav, what do you generally do to try and get your body aligned with the sun? Or if you had a client that was like not in routine, what's like 2 or 3 things you'd begin them doing to kind of get their circadian rhythm healthy?
I'll get them to set a sleep time first and try to get to that to sleep by that time as many nights a week as possible. I think that's probably number 1, is to build or shift your body clock to go to sleep at that certain time. And that time ideally is if work doesn't get in the way, then it's ideally 9 to 10 p.m. around that time, because that is the perfect time, or seems to be the right time circadian rhythm wise, in relationship to the sun and the moon. And then the second tip is to get light in the morning when they wake up, or as early as possible, especially sunlight. Try and get as much sunlight. If the sun isn't out, they've even proven that you could get some UVs and light through the clouds just from being outside, even from the moon. And so you're better off getting outside, getting some fresh air, getting some sunlight, natural light. And then the third one will be reducing as much artificial light at the end of the day. And so I turn off all my lights in my room. I have fairy lights. I think you have fairy lights. Do you have fairy lights in your current place?
Not yet. Not yet.
Yeah. So we got fairy lights. We got salt lamps. We use we mostly use that. Sometimes we use candles and stuff like that. But we keep it real dim and as dark as possible, as early as possible at the end of the day. And then we go to sleep at the same time every night.
Yeah, perfect.
And I try and get my clients to do the same.
Yeah, lovely.
Yeah.
And that's really that's a good way to do it. It's a really good framework. We're going to go to some very similar details further on. The last thing I just wanted to add into your circadian rhythm is that it has like a double dip. So your circadian rhythm is that your body it wants to wake itself up in the morning. So especially when the sun is up, once the body knows the sun up, usually when it's being hit by sunlight, it starts to halt its melatonin production and increase its cortisol production. So this allows the body to literally wake up. It's wanting to be more stressed, to elevate the body. And that's why when Nav's talking about it in the morning, he's also choosing activities or making actions that lift and elevate the body as well by getting the sun exposure and moving outside where you actually are just getting hit with that raw sun. It's really good. I love having coffee at that time as well. Just like coffee in the sun first thing in the morning is really, really, really good.
Some breath work, meditation, movement.
And so as you rise up in the morning, then you have a bit of an arvo dip, commonly known as 3:30itis, and then it starts to pick up again. And so trying to ideally organize your day and your routines around that is the best way to go. Before we go into a little camera reset, we're just going to answer the question of how much sleep do we really need? And I love this. This is by the this is actually off Ben Greenfield's site, which is the American. There's an acronym for their sleep something, but our Australian one is super similar as well. Ours is a little bit more simpler. So newborns. Whoops. Sorry, see what I just did there. Newborns, 0 to 3 months, 14 to 17 hours. Infants, 4 to 11 months, 12 to 15. Toddlers, 1 to 2 years, 11 to 14 hours. Preschoolers, 3 to 5 years, 10 to 13 hours. School-age children, 6 to 13, 9 to 11. Teenagers, 14 to 17, 8 to 10 hours. Young adults, 18 to 25. Young adults, 7 to 9 hours. Adults, 26 to 64, 7 to 9 hours. Older adults, 65 plus, 7 to 8. So yes, the answer is yes, you do need less sleep as you age. However, even at 65 plus, the minimum's still 7 hours. So just remember that. That's one of the bullshit excuses we always hear is, I don't need as much when I'm older, is wrong.
Yeah, and also some people think that they perform under 7 hours. What was that guy's the sleep mentor, coach, the guru that we worked with?
The one that we went and saw?
Yeah. Irish dude, right? Was he Irish?
Yeah.
But he talked about, he worked with FIFO individuals and helping them with their sleep and athletes as well. But he did looking at the numbers in regards to the amount of people that could actually survive or thrive and perform off of less than 7 hours of sleep. And it was something like 1.25% of the population. It was something so minute, so small. However, in saying that, we do understand how busy life is, and it's challenging to get a minimum of 7 hours every single night. And so we empathize and we understand that. However, it doesn't go against the fact that you need to, for optimal health and performance and for your mindset and for recovery and well-being, you need sleep. And that's just the truth.
Science is science.
It's just the truth. Yeah, can't go against it.
Yeah, science is science, feelings are feelings, and
I tried cheating it doesn't work, guys.
And that's the art versus science, right? Is just like understanding the science of this is what we're optimal and striving for that, but just finding the best way to make that fit without punishing ourselves. Quick camera reset, and then we're going to get into some actual strategies on how we can staunch our sleep.
Beautiful.
Oh.
I wonder what what was this podcast talking about? Dial up and interesting.
Oh,
I'm intrigued by the other ones.
That's full Nokia. That makes me pleased. But we will say, whoever recorded in the studio left the place a fucking mess.
Yeah, it's true.
And I was getting real triggered by it before. They've won me over a little bit with that really dope sound.
Imagine if it wasn't the same people.
Oh yeah. All right. Anyway, it's good. So we're going to talk about 3 phases of sleep. This comes from our traffic light strategy that we teach our clients at SMA. 3 phases of sleep. It's actually not in the order of the traffic light. We're actually going to go in amber, then red, then green. But simply speaking, amber at a traffic light means slow down. So the slow down phase is in the evening, is pre-sleep, is in preparation for sleep. We are winding ourselves down. We're slowing down. Then we have our red stage or our red chapter when we are asleep, and that's staying. We're off. We're at stop. And then the moment the sun comes up and our alarm goes off, we go. Go is the green. So we're going to go from, this whole section is going to be going from amber to red straight into grün and talking about it. So successful sleep starts when you're in the right state to start calming the mind and body down. So you have to want to go to sleep. You have to want to even start winding down when you, as per se, arrive home. So when you arrive home, you need to have 2 main objectives in mind. This is obviously if you're a standard 9 to 5 that you go to work and you come home. Have these things in mind. Am I ready to deload the mind? And am I ready to deload the body? because it's a choice. It's a conscious decision that dictates the quality of your sleep. The sleep is the art of winding down and relaxing. Yeah. So you must be done with your shit before you go to sleep. A person's afternoon and nighttime routine is what makes the transition from going to be awake to fully sleep. Depending on schedule, you'll have one or two routines. Everyone should have their pre-sleep routine. However, others still have chores and responsibilities when they arrive home, such as looking after children, looking after animals. For these, you have two routines. You have your little routine when you instantly arrive home from work, and then your actual other routine for when you actually go to sleep. So these couple of things we're going to talk about, these are our favorite ways to deload the mind and the body.
Beautiful. So number one, showering.
Yes.
Everyone loves a solid shower.
Froth a shower.
Surely.
Love a shower.
I think if you don't love a shower, then surely you love a bath.
You stink.
If you don't love a bath, then you very much stink.
Yeah,
if you don't like a shower or a bath,
then you're single.
Yeah. Or not. Acceptance. But it's such a nice way to literally let the dirt flow off of you, you know, and if you can have that little meditation under the water and let your mind cleanse with the body as well, it could be a really nice way to shift straight into home mode after work. Or it could be a way, this is the way I like to do it, I like to have the shower closer to bed. Because I'll come home, I'm still in work mode in a way, like I'm still thinking about doing things and preparing for the next day and cooking food, eating food, etc. Especially if you have children, I'm assuming it's probably even more enhanced than maybe having your shower after all of that. But it could be a really good segue of like, this is where I'm going to cleanse myself and relax. Cleaning and tidying. There's nothing worse than trying to sleep in a messy room. I don't think so anyway. But for me, trying to sleep in a messy room, there's just too much clutter. There's too many things going on in the room. I love having a nice, clean room. And there's something about organizing, and maybe it's just a trait that I have, but organizing something and then having that organized from your mind. It feels like when I go to sleep, I'm much lighter because I've organized something. And a part of my external is my internal as well. So that could be a really nice way to create a sense of organization and stability for your inner and outer world. And cooking, sitting down to eat. So really being mindful about eating. Eating's a great way and always has been a really massive traditional way for connecting with family and connecting with friends. So sit down with your loved ones, sit down with your partner, sit down with your family, sit down with your dog, sit down with yourself and eat and be mindful and maybe use that time to reflect or to find gratitude and to be thankful for life and your food. Just find gratitude. I could think it could be a really good way. Or you could even just sit down and eat and watch a good show and have a good laugh. But be mindful about it. Try and, like you mentioned before, a lot of it is actually accepting that and coming into it with the intention of relaxing. I am using this practice because eating could be a stressful situation, but it could also be a really relaxing if you make it that way. Meditating, being silent, being still, being calm, being centered, and visualizing and really connecting to what it will be like to be asleep. I think that was a big game changer for me, was actually thinking about, hey, I want to go to sleep and I want to have a deep sleep and I want to have a relaxed sleep and I want to wake up feeling rejuvenated. And once I started thinking about sleep in that way, where previously there was a sense of like resentment for sleep because I felt like it was getting in my way of life, which is hilarious. But now I actually look at it as like a positive to my life, and that really changed my quality of sleep.
Yeah, definitely.
What else?
Breath work.
Yeah.
You're the breath work man, but I had to stop doing breath work. I got too crazy with my breath work.
Yeah, you're talking.
I was doing my Wim Hof. I got too psycho with it. But breath work is also, they come really hand in hand with meditating as well. I personally, if I sit down to meditate and I just feel like I'm struggling to switch off, I'll switch and I'll do some breath work and then I'll finish with the meditation, because the breath work, especially, I'm very much I love to think about a lot of my problems like as I drive and sitting in silence, but it gets a lot. And sometimes I come home and I've brought everything home with me. It's a very common trait that I have. So when I sit down, I've actually got a Shakti mat, which is like a sharp.
I got one too.
It's like a nail. It's a modern nail bed, effectively. It's just a foam mat. Oh yeah, that's right. You do have one.
Fuck,
that took me a moment.
Took you a real moment.
Yeah, I bought two actually. I always do it. I bought you a present and I bought me one. But yeah, these Shakti mats are just, I lay on it, and because it helps shut off my mind, because my mind's like, fuck, I've got all these sharp things in my back. And then it really forces that focus on the mind. But then also, and as soon as I roll off this mat, I've relieved a tremendous amount of tension from the physical spiking sensation as well. And then those things, such as breath work for the same effect, makes meditation just that much easier, that much more simpler to drop into. I'm also a big fan of, I love to do a little bit of the spontaneous clean as well, especially when I'm buying a vacuum cleaner so I can spontaneously clean things. The portable vacuum cleaner in the back of the car. But intentionally, what I actually put it for many of my clients is put it into their routine, is that they are scheduled that when they arrive home, I love to put in a shower as well, just to get feeling fresh, but then start packing and preparing the clothes. And I'm big on nutrition as well, especially a lot of our clients are in a nutrition chapter too. So then it's like, get your food organized for tomorrow. A lot of my clients, I give them a cooler bag and they get the frozen little esky things and put your esky cube back in the freezer. Get into these things, and if you have your protein shake or anything like that, or your jars, then you go and rinse them, you clean them up, and you go through this routine, this cycle where you clean everything up, and then you're prepared. That way you can then relax for the next couple of hours before you go to bed, knowing that all your main stuff that you need to think about is already done. And then you can just, for me anyway, I can willingly go to sleep after all those things are organized. So I'm big on organizing those things. And then, as Nav and I both agree on, is just do the fun stuff. You know, you can't be doing all these routines and these habits and ticking these boxes if you're not enjoying it, because if you're not enjoying something, there will be an expiry date. We always default back to the things we love, because that's the life we're trying to design for ourselves. So when we approach winding down, we're trying to do it in a way that we look forward to it, so that it's a thing that happens not for the next 12 weeks or the next year. It just becomes just a mode of operation. If you can find a habit that becomes a mode of operation that is there forever, then you've done yourself some wonders. And really what we just talked about before as well is just reducing your tech time and exposure. So we understand that many people do and love to go on technology, whether that's watching Netflix or watching TV or watching YouTube or playing games or going in their phones or their iPads or whatever. So what we are encouraging is two things, is like long form and long distance is better, which is basically more television. Yeah, because if you're on your phone, like the phone's in front of your face. If you're on an iPad, the phone's in front of your face. But if you are going to entertain yourself with tech, you can put it on the television where you can then have that space so you're not staring like right in front of a screen. And it is just the long form means it's more of a storyline based thing. So you're not getting new information. You're not watching too many documentaries that are going to make you stay up all night thinking about politics, or you're not going to stay up all night thinking about all these new things that you've learned. You're actually you're deloading into a story, and you're enjoying the time to relax. So all of these tactics will help you leave behind the day and have you ready for sleep and the day ahead. As far as your actual pre-sleep routine goes, here are some other specific things to consider. Fundamentally, we want to minimize light and we want to minimize movement. So we're calming ourselves down, we're slowing the body down, and we're doing things like what Nav does is we've got the fairy lights, he's got his salt lamps, sometimes the candles as well, but all these main big lights, they're all being turned off or they're being dimmed. And try and go to warmer colors if you can, which is your reds, your reds and your oranges and your ambers. That would be ideal. Consider some calming herbs or supplements, which we will go deeper into that towards the end of this podcast. And just utilize a couple of hacks, such as if you want to go down the fun stuff, you can have your blue light blocking glasses, or you can play some meditation music or some binaural beats and stuff as well. We'll touch base on some things like that as well. So you got some things there. Nav, do you just want to talk me through like a common routine that you would run yourself or a client through for your nighttime?
Sweet. So firstly, afternoon movement, and that might not anything strenuous. It could be something like foam rolling or mobility or a nice walk. Ideally outside in fresh air against some sunlight / moonlight. So some natural outside light, a good 1 to 3 hours before bed. Same thing with dinner. Ideally, getting your last meal 1 to 3 hours before bed. 3 hours before bed, ideally. However, I understand how busy life is. So if you're eating food within the hour before sleep, it can happen. But recognize that eating too close to bed or to sleep is going to impact digestion and actually quality of sleep as well. Always get them to set a consistent sleep cycle, bedtime, and making sure they're getting about 7 hours. So 7.5 hours of bedtime, because you want to have that 30 minutes of kind of getting into sleep. Ideally, I then get them to have 60 minutes of dim lights and no phone. I get them to set their phone and alarm away from the bed. And so they have to get up in the morning when that phone goes off. And then they also don't look at their phone. They put their phone away. You have a whole hour now of no phone. And that allows you time now to prepare for the next day, clean up the room, make sure you feel safe, make sure you feel relaxed, make sure you're comfortable. Clean yourself, have a shower, do your teeth, rinse the day off of you, and then just read a relaxing book or connect with family, friends, partner, music, relaxing TV or TV show that you could just fall asleep into. And then as you're going to sleep, make sure you get some breath in and just imagine being in a deep sleep. Use your breath work and meditation to fall asleep. That's pretty much what I do and what I get most of my clients to do, and works wonders.
Yeah, that's really good. Yeah, that's very similar to what I commonly do as well. I always get people to, I'm a huge fan of showering the moment you get home. Showering, get changed, change the clothes. Commonly, I come from a trade background as well, so I'm always, I would come home commonly dirty, or I used to also train in the afternoon, so I'd either come home dirty or sweaty, which is something I still do often now as well, because I still train at night often. So come home, and that's the change of the clothes, and then from there, start to dim all the lights, take whatever action to make sure that fairy lights are on, we've got lamps over the house lights, things like that, and then have your personal time, whatever that personal time is for you, whether it is like spending time with the family, the animals, doing a couple of chores if that's in there, having your food, relaxation time. If you want to spend time on your phone, that's when you do it. If you want to spend time cleaning, planning, journaling, there's just maybe an hour or so of execution time when you're doing stuff that matters to you, and then you get yourself organised for the following day. Then you have your pre-nighttime sups as well, whether it's the magnesium and theanine, things like that. And then I always do a housing patrol. So I just do a lap of the house and make sure the doors are locked, the windows are closed, and things like that. So there's that feeling of safety and security. And then if that person does want to have another pre-sleep shower, making sure the bedroom's nice and clean and clear as well. And if they need to do any optional mobility, breathwork, meditation, straight into sleep. That's my routine that I give out to most of my clients, and what mine's built around it as well.
Beautiful.
Going into the sleep. The red time. So obviously nighttime sleep's fairly straightforward, because we're not doing anything, we're just sleeping. There's nothing to do here but sleep. However, this is the section where Nav and I are going to reiterate some things that need to be happening or occurring, or you need to be aware of, because if you don't do these things, these will ruin your sleep when you're already sleeping, such as temperature. The room must be managed in a way that the body can remain comfortable during the sleep. Understandable, there's two people often in the bedroom, but that's just something you're going to have to figure out, because it is important. Yeah, if you can figure out a way, it does a really good job. Hygiene goes for two things. So that's your general hygiene, so clean sheets, clean bedding, fresh bedding, all that kind of stuff. Not 20, 30-year-old mattress. Like put the effort and the investment into quality bedding. And then obviously, as Nav also mentioned, just an actual being in an organized room with the phone charged away from bed. So there's a level of order within the room, so that when you wake up and go to sleep, you're waking up into order as well. What are the other couple as well, Nav?
Familiarity and safety. So we had the example here of when you're in a hotel or a campsite or a new environment, the body never really sleeps as deep. I think they've proven it that a part of the brain still stays active when sleeping in a new environment that isn't your usual bed or your usual home. So make sure you have a familiar, safe space that you sleep within, which will allow you to go to sleep deeper. Alongside that is an environment externally with noise and neighbors. Ideally, you're in an environment where you don't have noisy neighbors or dogs, animals, traffic partners, children, housemates, all those things that are ruining your sleep or impacting your sleep. However, it's pretty hard to manage those things if we have children, we have pets, as we're aware, you being a dog dad and me having cats, and how disrupted they have on our sleep. So we don't even have kids. So But try and manage them as much as possible. Maybe try and get it all into the same cycle. If it's an in-house thing, try and get everyone to the same sort of sleep cycle. Lights and tech. So aim for the darkest room possible. For example, I have like the light on my aircon. It's just a red light, and I just sticky taped over it. Well, I actually put a bow sticker that you put on gifts on top of the light. Oh, just looks cool. Anyway,
I thought you said a smiley face sticker.
Oh no, I didn't have. I just grabbed whatever sticker I could find that was the closest thing. But I got rid of all the lights. I turned off all electricity in the room. Everything's being charged in the ensuite, and so there's no electricity or any lights on in my immediate area. I also wear a face mask and earplugs as well to get rid of noise and light. Phones away from bed and all tech and devices. And probably the other thing I would put onto this is just, although you can't really, manage it during your sleep, but is breathing. Make sure that you're in a position maybe with a pillow where it's not blocking your airway so you could breathe. And then also improve your breathing while you're awake through your nose, so then you could go to sleep with your nose breathing as well. Yeah,
very good. Things also that work well for managing all these things: temperature, hygiene, familiar safety, noise and neighbours, lights and tech. Patrolling the house for open windows and doors before sleep. This is I learnt the hard way because I used to love living. I used to have my bedroom window when I slept back up in the hills. But then when I moved into the more suburban areas, when my neighbours got a puppy, it would just bark all the time, and I was unable to sleep because of the noise. So I started shutting my window, but then I bought like a little fan off Gumtree so I could just have that same breeze effect. So open windows, like just managing the open windows and the doors before you sleep, using fans, air cons or heaters for temperature management, and that also includes using the right bedding. So you can use winter bedding, you can use summer bedding, but what we're saying is invest into your sleep. And then look, sometimes it means having a simple conversation with house members about noise, or family members, or about partners, about how important the sleep is and what you're trying to do, and try and get everyone on the same page so that you're all sleeping well. And a big thing that Nav and I both use is blindfolds and earplugs when necessary as well.
Yep.
After you sleep, the morning, the green section, this is the go time. So the goal is to get the mind and body back alive. You're trying to support that circadian rhythm. You're supporting that part of the body that's trying to wake itself up. So you want to effectively maximize light and movement. Light and movement. It's really the main two things that we're going for, but we've got a big list here that Nav and I were just going to kind of steamroll through. So the first one is sun exposure. We're going to get the lights on, we're going to get the curtains on open, and if you can, like, get outside, make sure you've got clothes on before you open the curtains as well, and just like really get outside as early as possible. Next, Nav.
Wi-Fi lights, smart lights, or sunrise alarms. So they're using automatic lights to wake you up. So, lights that turn on for when you want to rise.
Just those sunrise feature lights as well. They make really good alarm clocks. And you can also, if you time your sleep, you can just get up at the same time as the sun, where you just leave a window open and the sun will naturally get you up. That also means phones and distractions away from bed, so you don't have a reason to stay in bed once you're getting hit by sun. Any sort of light, you just wake up, and ideally if your alarm goes off, you actually have to stand up and get out of bed so that you can turn your alarm off, and then effectively you're not getting back into bed.
Yeah, which kind of dives into the next two is I would have the phone in the ensuite. I'll go into the ensuite, turn off the phone. I will then splash my face with cold water, and then I'll drink 2 glasses of water. I do that like religiously every morning.
That's a really good one. I don't do it personally, but electrolytes are quite nice as well for many people as well, like first thing in the morning. This is not, I do this in chapters, but lymphatic stimulation. I wrote a note for later on, but really good for hangovers, I've learned. If you're really groggy from a hangover, lymphatic stimulation really is a top-notch thing. So beating the chest, beating the body, jumping, not beating it hard, but it's just a really dry rubbing. Imagine you're softly rubbing a thick sunscreen into your skin, and you're doing that all over your body. You can hear my hands as I'm doing that. You slowly want to rub all your skin, and you can then kind of jump up and down and just get everything's moving. And also walking stimulates the lymphatic system in any sort of movement, any sort of workout, but that creates a lot of flow within the body.
Yep, music and dance, yoga, mobility, breath work, meditation, movement, practices that involve breath, music, movement, the mind, connecting, waking up, waking yourself up and getting yourself ready for the day.
Yeah, all of that. It's the brain gym and body gym. So all the movement things, and then all the mind things, the podcast, the audiobooks, the visualization, the journaling, the planning as well. Something I've been doing recently doing, as I won't reveal too many secrets about myself, but what I've recently been doing is putting a bit more effort into putting pen to paper first thing in the morning, just to help get my thoughts and getting myself focused as well. And a big fan of coffee, tea, the what do you call them? The Baroccas. That's what I was saying. Yeah, the effervescent fizzy tablets as well. Any sort of water, electrolytes, minerals. Obviously, you do them to however suits your schedule. As well, if I'm training in the morning, I'll always, especially my runs and stuff, I'll actually drink some electrolytes on the way. I usually run at the coast in the morning on Sunday, so I'll just drink maybe 500 mils of electrolytes on the way to the coast.
And you find that makes a substantial difference?
Oh yeah.
Electrolytes over water?
Yep, absolutely. For me personally, I barely if I'm going to train, I barely touch water. Yeah. In the lead up to it, I'll always have to have some carbohydrates, and I just like to sip on. My body really relaxes. My guts really relax once I got electrolytes trickling through. Yeah. But no sugar. Yeah. If I have something like Tailwind, which is similar to a Gatorade, I just piss. Yeah. I just a lot. Yeah. And I'm like, well, I think my body's like, I just don't need it, so the sugar's unnecessary. It's just the electrolytes, which is great. Another one that is also not super common, but I've written it in here is some sort of positive service. I find, especially for me and a lot of my clients, we're very in go mode, but we can also be in very giving mode as well. So it's good to tick that box where, you're feeding the animals, the kids, or you're spending time with them. You're getting your 15 to 45 minutes in the morning, however you want to do that, spending your time with the people that are important to you, or do things that bring meaning to your life. Yeah, think deeply about what you're doing and what's important to you. I enjoy doing that, which also includes any sort of spiritual practice or personal development where people are doing reading, prayer, reflection, studying, reading, practicing skills, anything that's really there to help yourself grow. They're all of our go stuff. Nav, do you want to talk me through a bit of just a little routine that you would commonly kind of put yourself through or your clients through?
Yeah, so a lot of my clients and I have, I guess it's pretty common, coaches train people that are very similar to them in a way, but my routine, which is very similar to my clients, is getting them to wake up, phone off, alarm off, which should be in another room. Then I hydrate straight away and I go to the toilet. I personally journal while I'm on the toilet. So I'll wake up and I'll be on the toilet for 10 minutes and I will journal, do affirmations, goals. You don't have to do that on the toilet. I know it's something that I just do. 2 birds, 1 stone, one brick. I don't know. But if someone wants to toilet and then do the journaling, affirmation, goals, and I think that's paramount. I like to really look at what I'm doing for the day. So I look at my calendar, I'll look at my certain KPIs, my habits, and I'll get a vision for what my day is going to look like, and I prepare myself mentally afterwards with some form of breathwork or meditation. Yeah. And so that's normally a 15-minute block, that breathwork meditation, for some sort of practice, and that circulates. Right now, for the last 46 days, I've been doing Wim Hof, but that might change at some point. I'll do mobility instead, or foam rolling. But it pretty much is always hydrate, toilet, some sort of visualization for the day, then a self-practice, then sunlight, then I get into the day either by working or doing some sort of movement. After that, I'll normally do my other morning shower, which would be cold or hot exposure, depending on what I'm feeling. And then I normally get some studying or reading in the morning when I'm fresh and ready to do work and absorb information. And that's the thing about the day. If you can really wake up and take it in, you get a lot of work, movement, study in the morning while you're really prime and energized to do so.
Yeah, definitely. I've been reading a bit of, just loosely, should I say, entertain myself with Stoicism again, and a bit of Marcus Aurelius is just hammering that down. Yeah. And I really love how he talks about how he doesn't enjoy it and never really does enjoy the getting up early in the morning, but he commits to it because he knows it's most valuable. And I've been appreciating that a lot, which has helped me like get back onto putting pen to paper and getting clear on things. It's been really good. As far as how I like to coach my clients as well, it's always, I was the cold shower guy for a while. I'm enjoying the fact that I'm no longer the cold shower guy, but actually having a level of cold exposure. I still shower every morning and I still cold shower every morning, but I usually have a hot shower and it's integrated with cold. So I always just jump in there full cold and then I wait for the shower to just heat up, and I enjoy that. But I still sporadically, I'll still do 2 or 3 cold showers a week because I just enjoy them so much. So cold exposure, then having some water, then having some sort of mobility or movement, even if it's a 2 to 3 minute routine. I just want that body being moved straight away. Then there's some sort of audio or visual stimulation. I always put in like audiobooks, podcasts, YouTube. I love TED Talks, visualization, meditation, or reading. Any sort of either taking some information in or planning to where you're going to put your energy for the day, and then get straight into either exercise, food, or work. So if you need to consume some calories, if you're going to go and train, so I would usually eat some carbohydrates, and then I would go run or cycle or go to the gym, or I would just go straight to work and then train in the afternoon, which I also love to do. So that's pretty much a bit of a routine on how I would go. Another framework we commonly teach as well is the Ben Greenfield 10-3-2-1-0 rule. And this is really, really good because it's nice and easy to remember. 10 means the hours prior to sleep in which you do not drink caffeine. 3 is the hours prior to sleep in which you will not eat or drink anything other than water. 2 is the hours prior to sleep in which you will not work. That's what I currently have been breaking every night pretty much this year. Number 1, the hours prior to sleep in which you will not be exposed to screens, and 0, the number of times you will hit the snooze button. So that's really simple. You just start cutting out your food, you start cutting out the work, and then you start cutting down the screens, and then you're ready to go. A couple of other things that we talked about is just delaying caffeine consumption. That's really important. We talked about navigating with blue light. Blue light is just part of your phone screens and all light. That's really stimulating. But navigating blue light is just simply setting your nighttime filter or I think it's called night shift on iPhone. Is it? Night screen? Yeah, iPhone, something like that. Binaural beats are also, just search binaural beats on YouTube, and you'll find some things you can listen to help you wind down. And then we're going to go into talking about sups now. What are your favorite sups that you use around sleep, Nav?
I personally haven't been taking any at the moment. However, my normal go-to is like a adaptogen sort of mix. You could get a blend that would have stuff like magnesium, theanine, ashwagandha, 5-HTP in it. I don't normally take melatonin. I've had melatonin before, but my go-to in the past, which I will probably reintroduce in my next experiment, will be a adaptogen blend, supplement blend. What about yourself?
My favourite's magnesium and theanine.
Yeah.
That's what I'm enjoying the most, but I'm also doing similar to you. I'm just taking a blend as well. A blend of like a night sup, which is actually what we stock at the gym, the adrenal switch.
Yeah.
I have adrenal switch.
That's the one I'll probably go back to.
Yeah. I just really, I do enjoy adrenal switch, and I actually do enjoy drinking a drink before I go to bed as well. That's
I do miss that.
It's a nice routine. I feel quite hydrated. It does make me kind of go to the toilet in the middle of the night and stuff, but I'm not too bothered by that. I don't mind. I don't prefer not to, especially when I'm camping. But
I had it pretty down, where I wasn't going to the toilet.
Yeah.
But I can't remember how I was doing it.
I think my issue is because I love training at night in the evening, so I'm fucking smashing like 2 or 3 liters of fluids.
Yeah,
I think it's the training that always does it, but I just always love training in the arbos. But look, another one we just touched base on is 5-HTP. It's not a common one, but it does come up. 5-HTP is the precursor for serotonin, which is just a bit of your happiness hormone as well. So sometimes in the right instance, 5-HTP can be good, but I would only really recommend taking it if you're going to get your head wrapped around why you're using it and how much you want to be having, but it's common. That's why I wanted to talk about it. From there, we just touch base on just remember to avoid stimulants, and really stimulants and depressants. You want to let yourself naturally go to sleep and use the assistance of your habits, your routine, and your general supplementation to get you to sleep, rather than the whiskey, the vodka, or the caffeine in the morning. And the other thing is high information processing things. So high information processing is just things that make you think and things that require your brain to do more work, which is remembering things. So don't take on too much information, try not to do too much work before you go to sleep, so then your brain can just focus on recovering during your sleep.
Beautiful.
Oh, this is sick. Is there no, it's just the normal one. I thought it was a remix.
Makes me want to play Snake.
Yeah, I remember that.
It really makes me think of Snake.
Do you have your Mr.
I do. Be right back.
Oh, he's unzipping something. It's ooh.
All right, my mystery item is it's just a takeaway container. It's just a meal prep container, a glass container.
Yeah.
Nothing really necessarily special about this one. To be fair, I think it looks amazing. However, these lids suction, they suck. Like if there's anything heavy in here, I have to band-aid the lids on. So I'm band-aiding them on to keep the food in because it just pushes the food off. It doesn't suction on.
Oh, these specific lids?
These lids, yeah.
Oh, so they're
However, that's not why I got them. That's not why I brought this.
You should get a vacuum cleaner if you want the best suction.
Do you have a brand in mind?
Yeah, Milwaukee.
Milwaukee, of course. No, I brought it because I've been on my food. Well, I've been on food for a very long time. I've been playing around with food for many years. I've been in the industry for a long time. But more recently, especially with the carnivore experiment and learning how to play around with only a small amount of food products, mainly meat and eggs for 6 months. Now I'm back into introducing other food products, and it's got me experimenting with food a lot more. So I'm meal prepping a lot more, and I'm getting a lot better. I'm getting a lot better at cooking and making food in a shorter period of time. And I was talking to a member the other day about this, and she said that she was overwhelmed by all the different ideas of things to cook and buying too many ingredients and having to throw things out. My advice is start off small, start off with only a few ingredients, continue to repeat the ingredients, but then add to it. And every single week, just meal prep and add to the meal prep, or make something slightly different, or maybe explore a different meal every single week, which only takes 30 to an hour to prepare. Keep it light, keep it easy, and make sure you're using the ingredients that you have at home. Don't waste the ingredients, and you get better. Be patient, and you get better at cooking, using your ingredients and using your kitchen. And it's been a great journey. Definitely recommend it. Learn what you're eating. Learn about your food.
Yeah.
If you have the time and space, if you have more money than time, then do a meal prep service. However, you're probably already cooking anyway, so you're probably better off learning how to cook and get better at it. So that was my mystery item.
I love cooking.
What about yourself?
I almost gave it away. But it's I'm back on the journaling as well. So I've got I don't know why I've got 2 pens, but I've just got 2 pens on my journal here. And I have used my journal before, and there's nothing special about this journal, but what's important is that this is something that's important in my life right now, and it's highly relevant to it's not so much my sleep is not too bad. I could definitely improve, but it's the focus I have when I wake up. I've really been utilizing this journal again to when I wake up in the morning, and it gets me focused in the day, because I keep coming home on some days and feeling dissatisfied on how efficient or effective I was, and then that general disappointment turns into a bit of chaoticness and then I get disorganized. And so putting pen to paper is a really big thing for me. And the last thing I want to say, which is a really interesting realization, is how messy my writing is really a clear. It's a clear sign of where my brain is at. And literally, I just stop writing like a fucking crazy man and just write words normally, and it's just such a grip on the speedo of my brain. So I've been finding that super therapeutic. So that's me. Thank you very much for listening to this episode. Oh look, look at this notification on my laptop. I've got to go and pick up my vacuum now.
You would have known.
Thank you everybody for listening to the show. You've been listening to the Strength and Motion Show, episode 23, Sleep. How much time do you really need is what we called it. Sleep and Their Myths. How much do we really need? Mystery sound.
Boom shakalaka.
Oh yeah, all right.
Boom shaka.
It's not the Nokia.
Boom
We've gone far
shakalaka.
from the Nokia.
Boom shakalaka.
That reminds me of one of the EA games, NBA.
Boom shakalaka.
You know, and then they had the guys with the big heads. It was a
Could be right. I'm not sure.
I think it's from a game. Thank you very much, everyone. See ya on the next episode.
Goodbye.